right, so we are live. And I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds for people to kind of come in before I start. Hi guys, happy Sunday. I'm still looking at my laptop. This would be me looking at the camera, looking at the laptop. Oh, I see one person's here. I was just setting stuff up really quickly before I hopped on. I know we took a break last Sunday and it feels like it's been forever, and I hope people haven't forgotten. And if you have and you didn't get my email, then you should probably sign up to get a reminder. That's if you enjoy Sunday painting with me. Hi Leah, hi Karen, hi Carol, hi Artie. Thank you, Artie. I mean, there's some grays. I always kind of point my grays out, but it's all good. It's part of the experience of living life. Thanks, Leah. Liking my floral getup? Yeah, this was my birthday dress for 2019, which was like one of the best years. I traveled so many places that year. Hi, Janet. Hi, Jill. Hey, Susan. Hi, Lillian. Hey, Pam. I'm glad you like painting with me, Artie. Hey, Patty. Hey, Ellie. Hey, Yasmin. Okay, people are trickling in, so I'm just going to start my chit chat before we kind of move on to the actual painting. So, really quickly, I know we missed one Sunday, but we're back to it again. Last Sunday was Father's Day. I figured we'll do something a little bit special for my husband and then go see my dad and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I was like, it'll be too much to do this, so let's not do it. And since then, let's see what's happened. If you guys follow me on Instagram, which you probably should if you aren't, at Hello Clarice G, I am doing a demo with Etchr on their YouTube channel, and this is going to happen on the 29th at 8 p.m. EST. So that's Tuesday. It's coming up really, really quickly. So if you guys, I don't know if you follow them or not, but just definitely check it out, because I'll be doing a class, kind of like what we do on Sundays, and it's an hour long. And it's 8 p.m. on the 29th of June, which is Tuesday. And I think if you can't make it, then it'll be there as a replay on their channel. So that's that. Number two is I am doing a 1.5 hour Zoom class for roses, dedicated strictly to roses. So those of you who want to join in, the class is $15. And, so you can either join in for the $15, or you can be part of my Patreon and join the highest tier, which is also $15, and then get all the other perks that come along with it as well. So two different options. Also make sure if you're signing up for Patreon, it happens to qualify for this, to book your seat, it needs to happen before June 30th. So those are the two ways you guys can enter in. All right, so that's that. I think I've posted in all my social media channels, including YouTube community, so you guys have an opportunity to check it out and join me. The class is going to be a little bit like, I was telling Jill and Patty on our Patreon call that it is, we're going to do like a practice session, there's going to be like a little Q&A session, and then finally we're going to get into this whole creation process of composing all these pretty little roses that we do, because I am trying to tackle a bunch of different styles, and I find that when you start painting, and I think you guys will as well, I've seen a lot of you who have been doing the mini challenge on the Hello Clarice G Facebook page, and you can see, like, if you've tried it more than once, the second one is a lot looser and a lot better, not looking like the first one at all, especially if it's something that you're not used to doing previously. So anyways, that's the whole idea behind that hour-and-a-half class. All right, that's it. Enough of my chattering. I think we've got enough people. I'm gonna flip this over. No, I don't have to flip anything over. I just need to change my, wow, it's been one Sunday and I've completely forgotten how this looks. But here we go, let's transition. Okay, so you guys can see the bottom here, and we are good. I'm gonna probably try and get some lighting in here, just so that it looks a little bit dark. I'm just fixing my screen so I can see your comments as well. Give me a second to try and see if I can get slightly better lighting. Let me see. I know there's there's a little bit of a lag when I do things, so I'm just seeing. I think it's a bit better. Just move all these things out of the way so that there's no shadow and you guys can see my screen. But yes, so this is going to be the idea behind the roses. This was my practice sheet. So your practice sheet would look something like this for the rose class. And let me close this. Today we are going to be doing something, not this, something like this. I was trying some of the Gladiolus florals, and I want to do something with that and some of the other regular flowers that we normally do. So this was me just playing around on the Canson sheet of paper. So we're going to be doing something like this today, and I am going to revert back to my Etchr sketchbook. And for colors, I'm going to tell you right now what we're using. Give me 1 second. It is my St. Petersburg White Nights. And we are going to be using the following: Titan Red, Cadmium Medium Lemon, the Carmine, Green, turquoise, indigo, whatever that is. I'm going to keep the sepia in case I need to have some nice dark contrast in there. And then this is the violet, and then the Mars brown. So these are the colors we're using today, and yeah, I hope you guys are excited for the color selection. I normally, yeah, no, it's good. And I'm also introducing a new brush today. We're going to be using the No. 2 Rigger, and this is by Zen Art Supplies. It's part of their Black Tulip mixed shapes for watercolor brushes. So I'm going to use this one for today, and let's test it out. Silver Black Velvet No. 4, and then the Vinci No. 1 mop brush. So these are what we're using. And let me just move all of this aside so we can begin. I have my palette ready by Lisi Arts. If you guys like this palette or like the shell palette, you can find her on Instagram. And everything I'm using is listed below in the description, so feel free to check it out there if that's what you wish to do. All right, so we are ready to begin. First things first, I am going to have this floral arrangement be very much like the main big florals are in the center. So say we do about 3, and then we've got some gladiolus kind of coming out from the back, and then we can fill off with some tiny flowers, and then finally some leaves. So that's my plan. And for the main florals, they're going to be kind of like peonies or roses, and I am going to be using a mixture of the Titan Red and the Carmine. You can also swap it out for the golden if you want. I normally do the golden with Carmine, but this time I want to try something different. So I'm just going to try the Titan Red and see how that pans out. All right, so first things first, let's get some of that Titan Red. And mixing it up. It's like this nice orangey hue. And I think it'll blend in nicely with the carmine, so that's why I'm using it. I'm using my mop brush because these blooms are nice, organic and big, and I want those kind of shapes, so that's why I'm using this. All right, getting a little bit more. Perfect. And now we're gonna start off by doing our, let me make sure I keep my paper towel handy as well, in case I need to wipe off anything. All right, so we're gonna do a peony that's kind of facing up this way, and we're gonna start off by doing the insides first. So I'm using the orange for the insides, and I'm making sure that while I have this, I'm still dipping a little bit of water on the tip of my brush, and then I'm going in because I want it to be very faded-ish. So pressing down, and then lightly kind of fanning out the sides. I'm gonna get a little bit more color, get a little bit more water, do another bit over here, and I'm leaving the insides open with white space and in between as well. Lots of white space here, guys. And finally, we're going to go ahead and do another stroke on this side here. Notice how loose my strokes are looking. At this point, I'm going to get a little bit of the carmine. Feel free to mix it down here if you're unsure how that's going to look. And now we're doing the same thing here. And notice how I am dipping in or slightly touching some of the petals that we've already created. Now dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm going to go ahead and create these light strokes at the top to make it look like they're background strokes, or petals rather. Petals is what I'm looking at. Again here as well. And the reason I've dipped it in water is because I wanted to have that light transition from light to dark. I want there to be a difference between the two. You can either take you can also take another brush and with just water kind of just smoothen things out, and this way you get that light background compared to what's down there, the center. Getting back to some more of this, and at this point I'm just going to add it to the bottom of this petal here that we've done, and I'm just swishing it this way because this flower is kind of facing upward, but then we've got that last petal to be very loose and like almost like a stroke. So getting a little bit more of my carmine. You guys can't see my screen, right? Yes, just making sure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the carmine to the center right here. And I want this nice, beautiful blend that we're getting. And now that I have that, I'm just going to kind of go ahead and create these outer little strokes to kind of just tie it all in, so it does look like it's part of the same flower. And that's pretty much it for this one. Now I want to intensify the color because I want it to be nice and bright. So I am going to go in with the orange first using my number 4. And I'm going to get a little bit of strokes, a couple of strokes in here. The orange. Titan red, guys. Kind of tend to use these simplistic names while I am painting. And I'm just highlighting a couple of these petals so that they do stand out and they don't look like one big blob. That's the whole point of going in with your slightly darker shades. And now once I have that, I'm kind of washing off most of the color, and I'm going to get some of my carmine. And I am again adding the carmine down at the bottom. And this is going to give us some good contrast and just make things stand out more than normal. Like just do, like you can even just do like a nice swoosh, like get some good color on here and just do like a nice swoosh in certain areas, because some areas can be darker than others and it just gives your flower some more depth. I'm just using the same color that I have, and I'm kind of trying to have it blend into these areas that are still damp. And then finally, I'm just kind of adding a couple of really loose strokes to the sides here and there, and then we're going to leave this as is. Okay, so our floral, you can see how big our floral actually gotten. Quite big, right? Now, taking advantage of the fact that this is still damp, I want to go ahead and create another flower of similar aspect, type, whatever, on this side, and this one's going to be facing up here. So we're going to be using our mop brush again. I'm getting some of my carmine, and this time I'm starting with the center, and it's going to be a little more like linear lines. Okay, someone corrected me about linear lines, how they are straight and not curved. When I say linear lines, I mean like lines, strokes, not necessarily straight. So that's what I mean when I am kind of describing what I'm doing. Okay, so just like this, we're doing these cute little lines, strokes, and then we are kind of bringing it inward like this. And then I'm going to get some of the carmine directly from there and get it on here, dipping the tip of my brush in some of the orange at this point. I'm going to kind of add some more strokes to the outside. And then finally, we're taking a little bit more of that carmine, mixing it with what we have, the orange here, and we're going to do I should lower the volume of my laptop. We're just doing the background petals for this. And now what you can do for the background petals is, like, if there's still too much color, just take your, like, dab up most of your water on your paper towel, and then just go with light, like just water strokes in the background. And what this does is it's pulling the color that you've already laid down, and it's kind of seeping outward, inward, yeah. Seeping out to the last layer of petals that we have. So now that everything is nice and damp and we've got most of the colors down packed, what I want to do is add some more darker hues, just like we did over here. And now for this, I'm just going to do the carmine. And so you can either use your mop, or take your number 4 and you can just highlight areas using your number 4. So like maybe at the edge there, somewhere in here, because we want to kind of also intensify the color on the inside of this, or make it seem like there's like this inside and these other petals are on the outside. And yeah. And finally, what I'm going to do is, washing off most of the color, I'm going to get a very light version of this and just taper off the sides so that they look a lot softer and less detailed than what we've done. So that's how you get that soft fading effect, by just getting some of the leftover color and just adding some additional added strokes. All right, I'm gonna get some of that orange, just add some of that here and allow it to kind of just seep in and do its thing. And then now that I have some of that orange over here, I want to get some of that happening just at the tops so that we have a tie-in with the orange coming from the bottom. So I'm just kind of sprinkling some orange here and there, and now we're good with that. So once we're done this, we're going to go ahead and create some a third floral or flower, and this one we're gonna have it, let's have it happening down here at the bottom. And what I want to happen or make happen is make it look like a dahlia maybe. And so for this floral, let's use the okay, so we've got these colors. Let's make it, yeah, I'm gonna do what I have done previously if you've been watching any of my other videos. So I'm taking some of the Mars brown, mixing some of that on here. But what I'm gonna do for this one is use the number 4. So Mars brown, I want it to be like a very light browny color. And now once this is done, we're going to start off by creating these little tiny, not tiny, but thin petals. And here's how that's going to look. So I'm going to make it seem like it's coming from down under here. So just like that. Then dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm going to do the second half of it. And continue doing these little shapes all around. You want it to be very, very light, almost making it look like these are white petals, but then obviously there's shadow, so you want to give it a little bit of a brownish hue. I think these are like cafe au lait dahlias, if I'm not mistaken. There is a name for this color. It's like a soft brownish mauve-ish kind of flower. Now I'm not concentrating too much on the light and darkness of it, just because as long as you can see the petals, I think I'm good with that. And now I'm alternating them on a smaller scale and filling up the gaps in between. And as they go outward, they get darker. I mean, sorry, lighter, not darker. So they fan off into like a white almost. And what I'm going to do is, as I have finished, once I am pleased and I am done painting in all these petals for this floral, I'm going to go ahead and add a little more of a darker hue just in like some of the petals, so it gives us some hierarchy of elements. So I'm just getting some of that darker brown and adding it in and pushing all the darker color to the center of this flower. Yep, perfect. And I want to tie in some of the purple we're going to be doing, so I'm mixing some of that on here, the violet, and I'll take in some of that carmine and mix it in there so we get like a mauvey kind of color. Let's see how that pans out. And I want to add in some of that in here. This is a little bit too dark. Still needs to be a lot lighter than this. Because I just want a hint, because once we do the gladiolus happening, I want it to kind of tie in with these hues. And so that's the idea behind going with this color scheme. So I'm just adding a couple of strokes here and there. And then, you know what, to the edge you can maybe add some darker purple, just to kind of give it that shadowy effect with the floral on top. And maybe even just at the top there. Some lights and darks to kind of enhance the whole look. Right. Good. I think I am good with this. We're going to leave this for a bit, and we're going to go ahead and concentrate on creating some of the other, some of the gladiolus that I was talking about. For that, I am going to be using the rigger, and I did say I would mix in some of the purple violet, so here we go, mixing some of that in. And then I want some of that carmine in there too, but I want more carmine than anything else, so we get this color right here, as you can see. All right, so it's like a purpley pink, deep pink. And now for these, this is going to be fun. The way I like to do them is just pressing down. So we're going to do the main big flower, like not big flower, but like a flower that's like spot on, and then create some additional petals behind it, and kind of going with the whole loose style of doing things. All right, so pressing down, and I'm just kind of creating very loose looking petals for this flower, and pushing down all the water or color. Then just getting some water on my brush, going ahead, and I am creating the next one. Then I'm going to get some more color and create the darker petal over here on this side. And then another one here. Perfect. And now at this point I'm getting some of that violet, and I want to just add it in there. So now we're going to create some of the other background petals. So I'm just using that same hue, purpley hue. I'm kind of using a mixture of the colors we've gotten so far. And I want to alternate the colors so that they blend in with each other, and then also alternating the intensity of the colors. So getting a little bit more water for some petals, and adding some hue, like darker colors to the bottom, so that it just spreads out and gives us that nice light and dark. And then going back, mixing what we have left over, we're going to kind of create a few more petals to kind of make it seem more fuller. And I don't want to make this gladiolus too tall. I'm going to keep it fairly short. So I'm just going to go ahead and create these, what are they? The buds. So very loosely creating the buds. I shouldn't have done one there, but I think the 3 are fine. Perfect. And now at this point, if you want to go ahead and intensify some of the color, I've just mixed 2 of those colors again, and I'm just adding it to these areas where it's meant to look like there's flowers in the back of our main floral. And this is what separates the two. And that's the whole idea of me adding this darker hue there. Now what also helps is the kind of paper I'm using is 100% cotton, and so it's still damp, and when I add this color in, it is giving me a nice beautiful blend. And so that's why the 100% cotton paper really is quite helpful. I'm just going to add some hints of, I guess this could look like there's some gladiolus in the background here. And I'm trying to make it very light looking and loose. So again, it kind of ties in, right? A little bit. Well, let's just do one more here too. Why not? You know, I do my stuff in threes, so let's just do that. Okay, perfect. Now we can go ahead and do some of the green that's supposed to be going on here. So for the greens, I am going to mix some of my greenish, yellowish green. There's a piece of hair. Let's move that out. And in addition to that, I'm going to mix some of the Mars Brown and get me this nice kind of olivey looking green. And I'm going to use the rigger again and create what I need to do next. So we're going to create the extension. Okay, it's too much water on here. Just going to add some of that green to envelop our little buds. Now I should have probably spaced them out some more so it would have been nicer. But for now, this is what we have, and it is a loose style of painting, so it's all good. I'm extending it to the top, and I'm just adding some very loose looking strokes there so it doesn't look completely off. I'm just adding some more green here. Now, another thing to do, which is also very, very helpful, is mixing more of this color on a darker scale and then going in and adding that darker hue to give it, you guys can see, right? Yeah, just making sure. To make sure that you can get that darker hue and gives you that impression of light and dark and shadow effect without really giving it a lot of detail. So using the same color that we have here, I'm going to go ahead and create some over here on this end for these flowers of mine. Perfect. And the way I am ending off where it ends, or yeah, where the Gladiolus ends and where these begin, is I'm trying to almost shape it as if it is the petal or this floral right here, as opposed to just flat, so it kind of gives it some shape, negative space. Same thing here. And I can probably just leave it very loose like this on this one. And it should be fine. Can even have some very light looking extensions for these. So I'll do one here and just like spread the green around a bit. And then just taking extra water on the brush, I'm just kind of really smoothing out these little green buds, or whatever you want to call them, that I'm doing. Making sure that you guys can still see stuff. And I'll just do one more over here on this end. And then just some very light-ish looking green haze almost on this side here. All right, perfect. So now that we've done these, I'm not going to do any more of the Gladiolus. I'm going to kind of go ahead and do... Oh, you guys can't see. Oh, don't tell me again. I am switching out batteries again. Here we go. Give me 1 second to find you guys again. And where are we? Why am I not seeing you guys still? Oh, here. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Leah, yes, I did catch it just in time, didn't I? Okay, all right, so now we're moving on to the tinier florals. And for that, I am going to continue using my rigger, and I am going to mix some of the indigo that I have onto my palette. And I want these to be very light and I guess airy. So I don't want it to be too, I just want to make sure I can see your comments as well. Too overpowering. So I'm watering this down quite a bit. And I have some great purple that we used for the Gladiolus, which we can kind of use to kind of perk up here and there. And so we are good to start these. So these are going to be like your regular 5-petal florals. So I'm just going to do some over here. And I love these like little raw shapes that the rigger does. And so I think these are great for like loosey florals that need to be painted in. So just like you would normally do a 5-petal flower, we're just going to try and do a bunch. Now the only challenge I have with this is trying to make sure that it's not overpoweringly huge in size, because size also matters when you're doing something like this. It's good to have like small to big and then a little bit of variety in sizing, just like you have a variety in the consistency of the water and color ratio. So I'm mixing in some of that purple, just dabbing it in because I know it's still damp and it's giving me this really beautiful blend. I'm going to create a couple more happening over here. So just adding in some of those hues and these petals. And again, like these are, the point about painting in a style like this is all about the color combinations, and that's where the detail lies, in the color combinations and the lack of detail when you're actually painting, so that when the viewer views it, they have their own, they're hit with the beauty of the color, and then they perceive these florals in whatever it reminds them of. You could be doing a flower that like completely doesn't even exist, but it looks like a flower because it's got some really pretty colors. And so that's where, yeah, you guys get what I mean. So I'm going to do one more tiny one here. Notice I'm like not even finishing all the petals. I'm just kind of doing 3 and then letting it go. And let's just do one over here as well, just so it doesn't look completely alone. And then I'll do what looks like, I guess, buds. Oh, I always want to do my buds small and then they end up being larger than life. I don't know if anyone else has that issue, but it's annoying sometimes. I'm just going to do some over here as well to just kind of taper it off, make it seem like it's falling over. Perfect, and leave it at that. Now that we have some here, I think it'll be nice to have some over here on this end as well. And again, on a smaller scale, lighter scale than what we have happening there. Just even mix in some of that purple maybe. Just use up the color that you have, it's all good. And this is just to tie the whole image in so that we've got these happening on both ends. Parfait. And then perfect. That's it. So now what we're pretty much done, but at this point we are going to go ahead and do the greens, which is going to be fun. So I'm going to continue using this brush for the greens. And for this set of greens, we're going to use the same combination, just on varying consistency. So I want it to be more of a green than the olivey green. So I'm getting more of the green in there, less of the brown or the Mars brown. So I get like a brighter looking green. Now once I have that, I'm going to use the brush to kind of connect these little guys that we have going on. So we've got some nice green happening. In here. And then over here as well, a little bit. Why not? It's still nice and damp, so it's kind of seeping into the purple that we have here for this one, which is okay. And now using the same color, we're gonna go ahead and create some leaves. So I like the rigger for leaves as well, because it gives us a nice long linear shape. So let's just do leaves that look like this. I'm going to do another one here. And then at this point, get some of the, I know that I dipped in my green that I'm not using, my favorite green, but what I'm doing is I'm dipping some of the brown, the Mars brown, because I want a darker hue, slightly different hue, and I'm just adding it to these areas of the leaves so that we get that second tone happening. And so that's essentially going to be something that I preach all the time to you. When you lay one color down, make sure you get a slightly different hue of that color and mix it in. Add it as another stroke so that you can get a nice variation of what's happening. So there's nothing to these leaves. You're literally just using the brush, pressing down and kind of going over the edges so that it looks like it's behind the floral. Just taking some more water where needed and just spreading it out so it looks like a proper leaf. All right, and what I like to do is doing these trail off little strokes. So for instance, one here kind of looks like it's just trailing off without much detail. Another one there, maybe you would make that a slightly bigger one. And then giving it shape, sorry, not shape, like movement. One at the bottom this way. Can you guys see? Yeah. And just, these are a lot lighter than the others, right? So now that we've done some leaves here, we should do some of the similar nature in the other spot. I'm just looking at the time to see what it is. So I've mixed some more green, and let's add some happening over here. I'm pushing all that color down to the bottom. And again, notice the white space in between the leaves. Like as I'm doing stroke 1 and then stroke 2. That's what I mean. Let's do some over here. And then I'm just going to intentionally do some right here where these florals are. And then a couple over here on a smaller scale as well. Just to kind of give it some nice delicate looking leaves. And some at the top. So at this point, I'm not talking too much or instructing too much. It's because I really want you to grasp the idea of these leaves and kind of go ahead and create them where you feel works for you. So I'm kind of just adding them as and where I feel it works. So I would like for you to do the same. Perfect. I like how these are turning out. These are looking like these, like those wildflower vines that you get with the flowers. Yeah, I think my inspiration is from there. And I'm just going to add some at the bottom too, just to kind of add a nice trail off. Just like that. Perfect. And now I'm going to swap out my brushes, get my number 4, and let's do a couple more regular looking leaves. And I see some people have questions. I'm going to get to your questions right as soon as I get these done. So give me a little bit of time. So for these next leaves that we're doing, I'm going to mix some of the indigo with the green that we have left over, and it gives us a kind of like a teal green look. And making use of the leftover color. So now these leaves, we're going to do some, so this is obviously a light mixture, so we're going to do some happening over here, I think would be nice. So let's do this, pressing down, dipping the tip of my brush in water. I'm going to do the second half of this just like that, pushing all the color down, then doing another leaf right here. But this one, I want to paint it to the shape of this flower petal. So it adds a little shape to our implied petal outline. If that makes any sense for all you designers and artists out there, been to art school. All right, and so those are those. And remember the dark, adding additional color to the bottom, so you have dark at the bottom. And then I'm just going to do a third very loose looking leaf there, and then like another loosey looking one there. We want to make it look full, we want to make it look robust, and we're also adding shape to our composition when we add these little details in. So I want to tie those in, but I also want these two florals to look like they're kind of separate. So I'm going to add some of that green on here as well, just in between, to kind of hint at there's greenery in the background. And I would like to do some very lightly over here. So at this point, you're just looking for little white spaces between your flowers, and you're filling it in with some of this green as well. And then once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and create some leaves at the bottom over here, because we've got, I don't want to touch that space too much. I think up there is good, and then down at the bottom would be fabulous. What do I need? Mixing some more color here so I can get some of this. Okay, so first leaf that I do is going to look, so I want it to be very intentionally looking like it is shaping the shape of the petal, and so I'm going around the petal and just coloring that in. And then I'm just gonna add darker hues to the bottom of that there. Okay, just like that. And I'm gonna add linear line there, linear line, hear me? Now I'm always gonna catch myself doing that. I don't care, you guys know what I mean. So, creating some more leaves, and I want these leaves to look like they're just kind of trailing off. They're not a lot of detail. Notice this isn't even attached to the stem that I've done. And I love the different hues that are happening here and the different consistencies as well. So like it's super light at the top, and then at the bottom it is dark. Kind of has that really nice loose look and feel to it. Perfect. So we've done that. And now at this point you can just add a couple of these touches to kind of make it look like these leaves of this color, or the leaves of this color, are in other areas of this painting as well, and this will tie it in some more on another level, right? So like adding some leaves here in between these regular green ones that we did. Maybe some peeking out from behind here. But again, notice how light I am going with these, right? And also lack of detail. So I'm not giving it detail. I'm just literally adding that in for shape more than anything else. And you might choose to go, you know what, I'm happy with how this looks and I don't need to add any more, and that's totally fine too. So it really